Hi everyone, today I did a build-in challenge with Flxral. I'm pretty sure all of you know Flxral, but she'll be posting her point of view on this challenge on her channel as well, so make sure to go check that out. That will be linked in the description of this video. Basically, this challenge was about working for 5 minutes, and the amount that we earned in the 5 minutes, we could then make a house with it. Honestly, this was quite challenging because I haven't really done a cheap house in a while. I used to do really cheap houses all the time, but honestly I haven't in probably like half a year, so this was kind of a challenge. I ended up doing one build and then I deleted it and restarted it because I could not figure out, it was not working out. So yeah, the house I built, also you'll see this at the end of the video, so make sure to keep watching for that. But it was basically a small one-story house, starter house. But I'm not going to give away too much. Busted over one more piece, but I ran out of time. But in the end I earned 15,858 Bloxburg cash, which honestly isn't that bad, and it was actually a pretty decent amount to build a house, if I'm not gonna lie.
If you let me shine, you like to put somebody else's happiness before your own. I see the weight of Atlas on your shoulder, weighs a ton. I'm trying to be the ball and light and energy for you to grow.
To make this challenge way easier, Flxral gave me permissions on her plot, basically co-owner, so I could live in hers, so I could keep track of the budget that I had, and then Flxral built on mine basically the exact same thing. But yeah, this is basically me starting to build the build. When I started building it, first of all, as I said, I deleted it first of all, so it kind of messed up the budget and it wouldn't let me increase my own budget, so we just went with 10k at the start, and then Flxral really kindly increased the budget to like the original, which was great. So yeah, I managed to do most of it in basically the 10k that I was given. It's not the most detailed house ever, but I think a house that is like 10 to 15k isn't going to ever really be the most detailed house ever. Honestly though, I spent way too much money on the exterior of the build. That is what always happens with me, basically. I end up spending so much on the exterior, then I lose the amount of money that I can have on the interior basically. But even though the exterior was kind of plain, it was already 3k, which kind of made me a bit worried at this point, but I knew it was only going to be small, so I thought I'd just about have enough, and I did actually just have about enough, which was great. This is me starting to do the bedroom here. Once again, I literally over decorated it and then ran out of money basically for the rest of the build, but yeah, this is the bedroom. For this house slash build, I basically went with like a pastel pink colour scheme, kind of very neutral almost. It's not too pink, it's basically more like whites and that. I also used some custom shapes to have like nice pillows and that, which honestly took a lot out of my budget, so it's pretty small, but it's basically half the house, so in terms of the size of the house, it's a pretty decent sized bedroom. It got to this point here when I basically realised I only had 5k left, really, so I basically gave up on the rest of the details and just added posters because they're like 40 I think, so they're pretty cheap. And then I just painted all the walls as well because I did not want to just forget about the colours of the walls because that would have not been good. I tried not to include too many textures in the exterior because that would obviously increase the price as well. It wouldn't have changed it by a lot, but I had to be saving money at this point because I only had like 4k left, which yeah, is very little. And here I still am, adding more details to the outside. Yeah, for this build I used advanced placement, and I think that's basically it. It didn't require large plot, and it's obviously only one story. The original build I did do was actually 2-story, but it was just lacking so much detail, and there was like nothing other than like a bed. So I changed it and now it's smaller, but it's still got a tiny bit of detail, which isn't actually that bad. But when I only had 3k left, I was starting to become a bit worried because I still had to do like the kitchen stuff, like the fridge and the oven, which is honestly quite expensive in Bloxburg. I think the fridge is like 500 or something, and the cooker is like 300. So that already took almost 1k off my budget already, and that was with no details. And yeah. In terms of a living room, there wasn't really much space, but I basically just added a sofa, so we'll class that as a living room. But yeah. I wasn't actually really sure what to do with this house because I wasn't liking it at this point, like the colours weren't really working. But when I started to add details like this little plant here, it all started to become slightly better, which is actually pretty good. But it was very like a plasticky house, if that makes sense. Like there was barely any textures on the counters or anything. But as you can see at this point, I literally had 500 cash left. So yeah, I couldn't really add a lot of stuff. Here I tried deleting one of the carpets, give me more budget, but for Bloxburg, if you delete something, then it basically doesn't go back into your budget, so that didn't work out. But at this point, Flora upped my budget to the last 5k, which was really kind of her, so that would be like the 15k that I should have had originally. So yeah, this gave me a bit more money to spend on the details because I'd already made it so that I had all like the basic stuff down, like obviously the kitchen and the bathroom. Although 3k is not a lot, it was still managed to make it look way better. The interior reminds me of my old builds when I used to do like really small 10k ones, but yeah, I think it's quite good. And I think even the colour scheme ended up being alright at the end once I added in all the details. And these lights as well were super nice. And here Flora disconnected, but it's okay, she came back. Looking back at this, yeah, the fairy light was kind of wonky, but we're just gonna ignore that. It wasn't that obvious at the time. I think this succulent on this table here honestly made the whole build. I don't know what it is about it, I just absolutely loved how it looked. When Flora rejoined, she put my budget to 10k, but I didn't end up using all of it, so that was only just because she disconnected. But
energy for you to grow. You see, you're just a flower who has never seen the sun. You're stronger than you know. There's power in your bones. The flowers that you've grown were watered by your tears. You say you're growing old. One day you're gonna fold.
I really wanted to add clutter at this point, but I could not be affording clutter in this house. But I managed to add some plants and some like jugs and stuff around the place and some books. Even this little shelving unit, which I never even ended up putting anything on it, but that was there in case you wanted it. At this point, the build was basically complete. I was just adding like a few more tiny things with a little bit of the leftover budget that I had, and that was literally just like a cup in each room basically, but that's it. Then I outlined it all with wall trims because why not, and that is the finished build. And this is the tour. So at the front you just have like pretty basic, but honestly it's not that bad. These new bushes that was added in like the last update is literally the best thing that was ever added. It's amazing, I love it so much. But yeah, this is the interior. It's got some cute fairy lights, which again I think make it look a lot nicer. But yeah, I think for 15k it's not actually that bad. But for example, the bedroom, this side's pretty detailed, and then there's that wall there which is just completely empty, but yeah, it's okay. And this is the bathroom. Again, it's quite plain, but it's a bathroom, you don't really need much in it, to be honest. This build you can use all your moods with, obviously, because you have the books for the fun and you have the hygiene, the energy, the hunger. But yeah, let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, and also make sure to go check out Floral's build and let me know who you think had the best build.